everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, and I'm here with an afternoon book review for you this time. And we are going to go back and discuss why I had fallen in love with Emilie Loring, and I've fallen in love with her yet again. I finished reading, and I have a page marked, I'll tell you why in a minute. I finished reading Follow Your Heart. Now, this story was about InstaLove. And that is something that the romances get hammered away at all the time. There's no such thing as InstaLove. There's no such thing as InstaLove and everything. But I argue, yes, not only is there such a thing as InstaLove, but it's realistic that it could happen. Okay, let me give you the setup. So we've got Jill Bellamy, and she is the heiress. This is Jill right here, and this is Chester, and he's not a bad guy or a good guy. He's just kind of a guy in the story. But well, I would say he's a good guy, but he looks like a bad guy at first. Anyway, Jill is the heiress to this art institute, to all this beautiful art. And they have made this institute for some godforsaken reason with Picassos and Van Goghs and Matisse and everything like that in this little small town of Mapleville. And the town is Mapleville, and the season is summer. And we've got some different storylines going on. We've got one, she's got a friendship with the newspaper editor, Mr. Loomis. And Mr. Loomis, gosh darn it, he just thinks that people need to be better informed and need to be better citizens. And it's not just voting for a president or voting for a senator, it's supporting them, and it's knowing what they're voting for, and it's following the bills and everything like that. And Jill is all over that. She thinks that's a fantastic idea, and so she is going to use her clout to get a speaker to come in, and they're going to call it the Good Citizen Series, and they're going to have it at the Art Institute. Well, things are not going well at the Art Institute. There are 3 governors, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Clayton, and Mr. Adams, I think. Adams or Allen. Anyway, doesn't matter. And they supervise the whole thing until she turns 21, when she's 20, and she's only a few months away from her birthday. And so there have been these occasions where she has been nearly killed. At one point, the gas was turned on in her bedroom with the window shut while she was asleep. And fortunately, someone came by and saved her. Another time, she was driving her car and the brakes gave out and she had a wreck. And then the third time is when the book opens. She's crossing this little bridge, this little rickety wooden bridge, in order to get to the Institute with all the famous art that they have in Mapleville. Now, I just loved that. I thought that was hilarious. Not only do they have the Institute in Mapleville, but you have to cross a little rickety wooden bridge to get to it. Like, I'm sure a lot of handicapped people wouldn't be visiting this art institute. Anyway, so she's crossing this little wooden bridge, right? And she's going across, and somebody starts throwing rocks at her. And they start throwing rocks at her, and one of the slats in the bridge has been loosened, and she falls through the slat, and she falls in the river, nearly hits her head on the rocks, nearly drowns, and she goes into the Institute soaking wet, and she's like, someone's trying to kill me. And they're all like, oh, come on, Jill. Stop being so Looney Tune. You know, your mom was insane, and we know you're probably insane too. So just stop being Looney Tune. So she's in the Institute, and she's looking around, and she's in like the warehouse part of the Institute, and she gets locked in, to this one place, and she's banging to get out and everything like that. And this man, this stranger, lets her out, right? He breaks down the door and he lets her out. So he leads her outside where they're sitting down. And I quote, here's where the InstaLove comes in. For a moment, he waited in silence. When at last she looked up at him, she saw a tall young man with square shoulders and a deceptively slender body because he had great strength. He was one of the best-looking men she had ever seen, but he did not seem to be aware of his good looks, nor desirous of capitalizing on them, as the most handsome men did. He had a strong jaw, a fine and sensitive mouth, and gray eyes that looked searchingly into hers. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Timothée Chalamet. Now, let's be honest. Let's all be honest. If Timothée Chalamet saved us from a dangerous situation, and we didn't know it was Timothée Chalamet, and it was just this face and this body that saved us from a dangerous situation, I think InstaLove is very appropriate. So they fall instantly in love. But of course they don't tell each other that, because, you know, you don't want to start a conversation with, oh, by the way, I love you. And he thinks she's wonderful and she thinks he's wonderful. But we have to go through the back and forth of the playing with it. And is he being faithful to her because he at one point was engaged to another girl in town? And then he also has another ex-lover come into town and he takes her out to dinner, and Jill sees all this and everything like that. In the end, though, it was really a good, surprising ending about who was the governor, because we knew it was one of the three governors that was stealing the art and selling it. So, because there was so much, they were stealing the art and selling it and then making copies and hanging them up in the Institute. So it was really a big surprise who did it. It was really a big surprise what Chester's role in it was. And I won't tell you what Chester's role in it was, because hopefully you will read it. But Jill has no vindictiveness in her body. She's like, I don't want anyone to go to jail. I don't want this splashed all over the headlines. I don't want anything like that. And the one governor who she thought hated her the most, that we thought for a long time was going to be the perpetrator, of course it's not him. But he ends up going to the meeting, the Good Citizen meeting, and kind of guiding people through the whole governmental process. And he's very proud to do it and everything like that. It was wonderful. I loved it. It was a 4-star read. It was so romantic. And we had coral gowns, and we had emerald bracelets and sapphire blue sheaths with sleeveless, and it was just beautiful. We had auburn hair shining until it caught the light and everything. We had this fantastic date in Manhattan, and they go on the ferry. I'm choking myself up. It was just wonderful. But once again, I want to show you the picture again. Timmy, little Tim Tim. Yes, I would fall instantly in love with little Tim Tim. Now, little Tim Tim would look at this middle-aged woman and probably wouldn't reciprocate, but that's not the point. The point was, it was a wonderful read. It was just so romantic and so innocent and so of another age, with the manners, and it was just beautiful. It was a wonderful summer read. It was a great summer lemonade, iced tea on the porch, reading about these wonderful adventures and the coral backless gown, and just wonderful. I love Emilie Loring, and I am going to put a link to my Emilie Loring video here somewhere. It'll pop up. And in the meantime, I don't know what to read. I'm going to have to dig in my box and find something else. I think I'm going to do a gothic, kind of a spooky gothic. I want something spooky. And I haven't found anything spooky yet, like really spooky. But anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will check you later.